Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Loans, Bankruptcy, Volume 3, Book 41, number 570 to 607. Volume 3, Book 41, number 570. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. While I was in the company of the Prophet in one of his ghazawat, he asked, "What is wrong with your camel? Will you sell it?" I replied in the affirmative and sold it to him. When he reached Medina, I took the camel to him in the morning and he paid me its price. Volume 3, Book 41, number 571. Narrated by Al-Amish. When we were with Ibrahim, we talked about mortgaging in deals of salam. Ibrahim narrated from Aswad that Aisha had said, "The Prophet bought some foodstuff on credit from a Jew and mortgaged an iron armor to him." Volume 3, Book 41, number 572. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "Whoever takes the money of the people with the intention of repaying it, Allah will repay it on his behalf, and whoever takes it in order to spoil it, then Allah will spoil him." Volume 3, Book 41, number 573. Narrated by Abu Dar. Once, while I was in the company of the Prophet, he saw the mountain of Uhud and said, "I would not like to have this mountain turned into gold for me unless nothing of it, not even a single dinar, remains of it with me for more than 3 days, i.e. I will spend all of it in Allah's cause, except that dinar which I will keep for repaying debts." Then he said, "Those who are rich in this world would have little reward in the hereafter except those who spend their money here and there, in Allah's cause, and they are few in number." Then he ordered me to stay at my place and went not far away. I heard a voice and intended to go to him, but I remembered his order, "Stay at your place till I return." On his return I said, "O Allah's Apostle, what was that noise which I heard?" He said, "Did you hear anything?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Gabriel came and said to me, 'Whoever amongst your followers dies, worshipping none along with Allah, will enter paradise.'" I said, "Even if he did such and such things, i.e. even if he stole or committed illegal sexual intercourse?" He said, "Yes." Volume 3, Book 41, number 574. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, "If I had gold equal to the mountain of Uhud, it would not please me that it should remain with me for more than 3 days, except an amount which I would keep for repaying debts." Volume 3, Book 41, number 575. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. A man demanded his debts from Allah's Apostle in such a rude manner that the companions of the Prophet intended to harm him, but the Prophet said, "Leave him, no doubt, for he, the creditor, has the right to demand it, harshly. Buy a camel and give it to him." They said, "The camel that is available is older than the camel he demands." The Prophet said, "Buy it and give it to him, for the best among you are those who repay their debts handsomely." Volume 3, Book 41, number 576. Narrated by Hadith. I heard the Prophet saying, "Once a man died and was asked, 'What did you use to say, or do, in your lifetime?' He replied, 'I was a businessman and used to give time to the rich to repay his debt and used to deduct part of the debt of the poor. So he was forgiven his sins." Abu Masud said, "I heard the same Hadith from the Prophet." Volume 3, Book 41, number 577. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. A man came to the Prophet and demanded a camel. The Prophet owed him. Allah's Apostle told his companions to give him a camel. They said, "We do not find except an older camel than what he demands." The Prophet ordered him to give him that camel. The man said, "You have paid me in full and may Allah also pay you in full." Allah's apostle said, "Give him. For the best amongst the people is he who repays his debts in the most handsome manner." Volume 3, Book 41, number 578. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet owed a camel of a certain age to a man who came to demand it back. The Prophet ordered his companions to give him. They looked for a camel of the same age but found nothing but a camel 1 year older. The Prophet told them to give it to him. The man said, "You have paid me in full, and may Allah pay you in full." The Prophet said, "The best amongst you is he who pays his debts in the most handsome manner." Volume 3, Book 41, number 579. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. I went to the Prophet while he was in the mosque. Misar thinks that Jabir went in the forenoon. After the Prophet told me to pray 2 rakat, he repaid me the debt he owed me and gave me an extra amount. Volume 3, Book 41, number 580. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. My father was martyred on the day of the Battle of Uhud, and he was in debt. His creditors demanded their rights persistently. I went to the Prophet and informed him about it. He told him to take the fruits of my garden and exempt my father from the debts, but they refused to do so. So, the Prophet did not give them my garden and told me that he would come to me the next morning. He came to us early in the morning and wandered among the date palms and invoked Allah to bless their fruits. I then plucked the dates and paid the creditors, and there remained some of the dates for us. Volume 3, Book 41, number 581. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. When my father died, he owed a Jew 30 awsuk of dates. I requested him to give me respite for repaying, but he refused. I requested Allah's apostle to intercede with the Jew. Allah's apostle went to the Jew and asked him to accept the fruits of my trees in place of the debt, but the Jew refused. Allah's apostle entered the garden of the date palms, wandering among the trees, and ordered me, saying, "Pluck the fruits, and give him his due." So, I plucked the fruits for him after the departure of Allah's apostle and gave his 30 awsuk, and still had 17 awsuk extra for myself. Jabir said, I went to Allah's apostle to inform of what had happened, but found him praying the Asr prayer. After the prayer I told him about the extra fruits which remained. Allah's apostle told me to inform Umar ibn al-Khattab about it. When I went to Umar and told him about it, Umar said, "When Allah's apostle walked in your garden, I was sure that Allah would definitely bless it." Volume 3, Book 41, number 582. Narrated by Aisha. Allah's apostle used to invoke Allah in the prayer, saying, "O Allah, I seek refuge with you from all sins, and from being in debt." Someone said, "O Allah's apostle, I see you. Very often you seek refuge with Allah from being in debt." He replied, "If a person is in debt, he tells lies when he speaks, and breaks his promises when he promises." Volume 3, Book 41, number 583. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "If someone leaves some property, it will be for the inheritors, and if he leaves some weak offspring, it will be for us to support them." Volume 3, Book 41, number 584. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "I am closer to the believers than themselves in this world and in the hereafter, and if you like, you can read Allah's statement. The Prophet is closer to the believers than their own selves." 33.6. So, if a true believer dies and leaves behind some property, it will be for his inheritors, from the father's side, and if he leaves behind some debt to be paid or needy offspring, then they should come to me, as I am the guardian of the deceased.